What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have a new soft white underbelly we're going to be looking at. I don't know what it is. It just came out a few hours ago. Haven't seen anything. It's called Addicted to the Streets. Easy. It's a 45-minute long video. We're not going to do 45 minutes. Let's just get into it, see what happens, see where we can go with it.
All right, easy. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Originally I'm from a small town in Rhode Island called Woonsocket. I grew up there most of my early childhood. Grew up in and out of group homes.
What was going on at home that you?
Excuse me?
What was going on with your parents that they lost you?
What is that ring? Did it say WCW? And is that his bike chain? He didn't want nobody to steal his bike.
My mom was married to my stepfather, not my real father. I grew up in an abusive home, physically and mentally. My stepfather used to beat my mother and me and my mother on a night-to-night basis. Around the age of 6 or so, I was taken from my mother and put into a orphanage where I grew up to about the age of 11. And then pretty much after that, it was just growing up in and out of the system or in the streets.
How would you describe your childhood with your foster home and your parents?
Childhood was I didn't have it wasn't silver spoons and wedding cakes, you know. Definitely wasn't no rainbows or kitty cats either. Like I said, I grew up in and out of group homes. Around the age of 13, I decided I wasn't going to live in a group home anymore, and I ran out to the streets, and I started living on the streets, joined a gang. I am an active member to this day. It started out with selling drugs, you know, selling drugs to whoever, I didn't care. Back then it was crack cocaine. And I used to sit back and laugh at all the crackheads that would come by. And
where did he say, my bad, I spaced out for a minute. He's not from a gang out here, right? If he's staying in LA, because he said he's an active gang member. Well, let's see what he says. Because if you're out here, you got no rivals. I don't know if you're making money out here. Like,
you know, oh, look at them. You could do these guys do anything for a crack. And I'd look at it in the palm of my hand. I'd be like, the power of the essence of this white stuff that just is so powerful, you know, and what grasps them to smoke this stuff.
I think he wanted to smoke.
It's crazy, you know. And I did that for a couple years until I landed in juvenile hall, where juvenile hall is where I actually was jumped into the gang that I'm active in. It's I am a member of the Gangster Disciples. I was jumped in by six guys and 6 older boys that were of me, and we call it the 66, where 6, you know, it's 6 guys for 60 seconds, and until you can hold your own. Can't hold your own anymore, basically. So after that, you know, I felt nobody loved me, nobody cared, so why should I didn't, you know, who gives a fuck, right? No, I don't care. You don't care? I don't care. Let's do this.
All right, I kind of care. Care about everybody.
Around the age of 15, I met my daughter's mother. I actually have I have 2 daughters. I met their mother just getting out of juvenile hall, and you know, I lied to her about my age. I told her I was 18, and she said, well, okay, that's cool. You know, at least you're over the age. And then about, I don't know, maybe a month and a half later, 3 months later, I decided I was going to tell her the truth, that I was only 15 instead of 18, and she was like, well, I got something to tell you. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I was like,
hers was better. I got something to tell you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got something to tell you. She won that one.
Oh. And I was like, well, I have something to tell you. I'm only 15. And she like kind of fainted a little bit,
Ain't it?
and you know, um, so I was like, I was kind of proud of myself. You know, here I was. What I was trying to do was I was trying not to be like my father, um, who I thought was nothing, a nobody, and a piece of shit who would just abandon his wife and or his girlfriend or whatever my mother was to him and his child. Because at this time I still hadn't seen him or hadn't met him in any type of shape or form, and you know, I thought living the family life was what it was, and I did that for a couple years. I didn't know that at the time, still selling crack at the time, that things were about to go whirlwind out of control and just take a whole different spin on things. Like, because one of the things I said that I would never do is something that I ended up doing, and that was started smoking crack
I
cocaine.
knew it. When he was talking about, he looked at it in his hand. He was already wondering, like, what is it about this? I knew it when he said that.
I was 16 years old, and had been drinking all day long, and I was been snorting some cocaine, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, Easy, you tried this before?" I said, "Man, that's some crackhead shit. You don't want to do that. Have you running around here fiending like all these other fiends out here? I'll never do that." And they was like, "No, just try it, man. Put it on top of your weed. Put it in a blunt. We call them woolies, yo." All right, so I proceeded to go ahead and smoke me a woolly, and that was it. So then, curiosity, they say, kills the cat, and that's exactly what happened. So I got curious as to, well, what happens if you smoke it without the weed? And I'll tell you what, I found a brand new love.
Wow.
To this day, I don't smoke crack.
I'm gonna tell you guys right now. This story reminds me of the rapper DMX. I remember seeing an interview they did with DMX on BET, and they asked him, like, how did you wind up, getting into drugs? And he said he had a homie. They used to do a lot of licks together. They used to do a lot of robberies and whatever. And his homie didn't tell him. His homie was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna roll up a blunt or whatever, joint, whatever it was." And DMX was like, "Hell yeah!" So the dude put rocks in it. Right out here, we call them primos. Right in California, Southern California. So he lights it up. Boom! He hands it to DMX. DMX said he hit it, and from that day on he was hooked. And the same thing, I guess he would smoke crack on its own. I don't know, but this reminds me of his story.
Anymore, but I tell you what, I still love crack, because even though she did me dirty and mean, she put me into places where I never wanted to be, and she's just always been my mistress.
They even have
around.
Do they even have crack around anymore? I don't do drugs. I haven't. Do they have how do you find that shit now? Well, I guess there's still coke around, but damn, they got. This video is not gonna get monetized because he's talking about using drugs.
The I don't know, right around the age of 18. No, it's about 17. Me and my daughter's mother, we both hitchhiked to Florida, and things just progressed to seemingly get worse after day after day. One thing after another. It got to the point where my daughter's mother would. Well, let me back up a little bit. So first off, I knew I had a gift. I have a gift of looks, and I'm not a bad looking guy. I'm not tooting my own horn.
What? I don't know. I'm a dude, so I don't know. But damn, player, you said that. Is it your chain? Is it that Tasmanian devil?
Anything like that, but I know I can get women. So that was one of my things that I would do when I was younger. Now, not only from that aspect, but I would use my looks to get anything from anybody, anywhere. You know what I mean? Especially women, and I wasn't ashamed to even say, hey, you know what? If the dude likes me, then let me see what I can get what I can get out of him. You know what I mean? This is the way of the world nowadays. You get getting or you get got. You know. Um, so for many years, I played the crack game. I sold crack. I smoked crack. I had plenty of women. Me and my daughter's mother, we broke up. She moved back to Rhode Island. I stayed in Florida and Tampa, and I had about 2 or 3 women that I would hang out with and smoke crack and make money, and they would go out and do what they call tricks. I mean, everybody's heard of a trick. I'm not saying anything that's not new. Um, you know, the reality of the world didn't set in until I was probably about 18, just turning 18, and I got picked up for my first possession charge in the state of Florida.
Shit, that's a good little stretch. You can get busted till you were 18. I know he said he was in the halls when he was a kid, got out, running around, and he was gorgeous to the world, and the world was at his feet.
And I caught 4 years probation and a 4-year suspended sentence. Um, Still, I thought the world was owed me something. I thought that this can't be this can't be all that life is giving me. So you know what? All right, I got this 4-year suspended sentence, but eat it on the chin. You know.
Eat what on the chin? You didn't do time. You got probation and then a threat that if you mess up again, you're gonna go to jail. How you eating on the chin?
So I proceeded to have attitude and a chip on my shoulder, I guess you would say it was. So I just before I turned 19, I caught my first prison bid in the state of Florida. I won't lie, being young and everything, I cried when I was in by myself in my cell. You know, when I hit the yard, I was like, I had to put that persona back into the pocket because the little kid wasn't there anymore. You know, now it was time to grow up and do this prison term that I had caught in Florida.
See that right there? A lot of people aren't going to like this statement, but I tell people all the time. Gang members are the most insecure men on the planet. It's my belief. We come from the majority of us, not all of us, but the vast majority of us come from trauma. There was something traumatic that happened in our lives that made us feel a certain way about the world, ourselves, people around us. And in order to protect ourselves, we created a character. We created something. That's where that nickname comes from, right? And you see, he said, and I laughed at it because, you know, you don't hear it, but he said when he got busted and he knew he was going to have to do time, that he cried. That was the real him. And then he said when he hit the yard, the real him had to get put away. Unless you're a psychopath or sociopath, the real you, when you creating this whole persona, the real you is right there at your core. You're trying to protect him. You're trying to hide him because you don't want to be hurt again like you were when you were a kid or whatever. But that persona that you create is the reason why we find ourselves incarcerated, abusing drugs or alcohol, womanizing, whatever it is. Those things are not going to replace whatever trauma created within our minds and our hearts. But people keep trying.
So the judge looked at me and told me, he said, sir, I've had you in this courtroom several different times and I've given you enough opportunities.
He did.
So here's one I think you're going to have enough time to ponder on. I sentenced you to 4 years in the state of Florida penitentiary system. And, you know, let me tell you something. I see movies and I watch things and, you know, you see movies and you see what they do in the movies and like, oh no, is that going to happen to me? Is someone going to push me down and rape me or whatever? Yeah, it's some prison systems are harder and tougher than the others. But I'll tell you what, I fitted right in.
That's
The
the
minute
bad
I hit
thing.
the yard, there was a clique of my crew that they do, they come and greet you, and then they help you out with a care package until you can get on your feet and everything like that. And I fit right in. It's like I wasn't even off the streets. I was just in a whole different environment, a new environment of it felt like a different like a time zone, like a twilight zone.
I'm gonna stop it again. I know some people say I stop too much, but I'm stopping. I'm stopping because this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy from Soft White Underbelly. Obviously, this dude's not lying. He's not. He's able to talk. I don't know if he's under the influence or of alcohol or anything right now, but he's able to talk. He's talking about good things. I clown here and there. That's what I do, you guys. But um, this is the stuff that me personally I find impactful. Um, I'm enjoying it. And it's unfortunate because I've said this before where, you know, once you lose the fear of something, you're always going to go back to it. He had somewhat of a fear of crack until he tried it. He said that's the love of his life. That's his mistress. He cried at the thought of going to jail, right? And then he got there and he fit in. So I'm sure he went in back several times. Not only that, these are the type of guys that recidivate a lot because he went in there and he was like, damn, I'm kicking it with the homies. He probably was on a really low level prison. I don't know Florida system. I don't know how it works. But when you get to a place where, you're incarcerated, but it's not that serious, then you already lost your fear of jail. When you go back and when you get out and you get in more trouble, and then you wind up on one of them serious places, it might be too late. I tell people, once they put the handcuffs on you and you get within a jail, it don't matter if it's the county jail, reception, or the joint. Once you're behind those walls, you ain't guaranteed you're getting out. You may wind up in a situation where it's kill or be killed. That's the thing about jails. Doesn't matter which one.
It was surreal. Um, and then you know being in prison and waking up every day and doing this and going out to work out in the field, and it kind of put this thing into you, like it hardened you, like why was I here, why am I here, I didn't do anything wrong, you know and I thought life was peaches and creams because this is what I was showed, this is how I was raised. I was raised to like I said, to get or get got. You know what I mean? Prison was fun up until probably the first time I saw my first person get stabbed. We had been on the handball court, and there was some words exchanged between these two gentlemen in the block earlier that day. And while we were playing handball, this gentleman came out of nowhere and proceeded to just stick the guy in the neck 3 times. And there's nothing more not fun than being sprayed in the face with warm blood. And it kind of put me into a shock stage for a minute, like, damn, this is really happening here. You only see this shit in the movies, you know what I mean? So yeah, that day forward, I kind of watched my words, because I remember when I first got on the yard, and I told this old timer, he had been down for about 22 years. And I said, you know what, man? He said something to me, and I was like, you know what, fuck, you suck my dick. And then, like, he looked at me like crazy, and my homeboy came up to me, he said, hey, man, you know who that is, man? I was like, I don't give a shit. He's like, well, you should, because you're lucky you're not being airlifted out of here.
For real.
And they broke down the prison etiquettes of what to say to another man and what not to say to another man. And then to this day forward, even though I'm not in prison anymore, I still live to those ethics and codes. There's 3 things you don't ever tell another man. You don't ever tell a man, you don't call a man a bitch, a punk, and you never tell a man to suck your dick unless you're ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? I had to
Unless you're ready to kill or die. Fight. Yeah.
learn that the hard way. And then later on that evening, I went up to the old timer and I apologized to him, and he told me, he said, "Look at me, young blood." He said, "15 years ago, you'd be airlifted out of here, and your mom would be sending flowers to your grave." And then that's when I learned the prison etiquette of the three things you don't say to a man in prison. Um, you know, the day for me to get out. I remember the day I got out.
There's a whole lot more words in prison you don't say. You know, definitely don't tell a man to shut up. Um, and as far as the raza, there's just certain cultural things you don't do that other people don't know. You know, we're not gonna get into all that, but yeah, there's a whole lot more than three words you don't say. You also your tone, facial expressions when you're speaking. There's a whole lot, man.
Out of prison in the state of Florida. It was November 3rd of 2001. It was just after 9/11. Um, and the world was totally shocked by the towers falling down and everything. And it was crazy because like when I hit New York, because I took a bus from
Yo,
Florida back to Rhode Island. I hit New York and it was like everything was blocked off. There was nowhere you can really go, and it was just like crazy as hell. And when you get out of prison in the state of Florida, they give you a bus ticket and $200 cash and a pair of clothes, uh, little flip flop shoes and a pair of khaki pants with a blue shirt, so that everybody knows you just get out of prison. Um, Now, when I got out of prison, I felt that there was a whole era of me that I missed. I felt like I was being a child taken from this environment. So when I got thrusted back in there after prison, I took off ripping and running. The it was like I never left the streets. I jumped right back into smoking crack and panhandling women and the lifestyle was great. You had to love it. It just
I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. This video is long enough. Um, no disrespect to this guy, Easy. You know, different gang culture, different culture, period. But I can tell you that out here, for the most part, everybody that I know, especially if you're Raza, those vatos that are hustling women, I wouldn't hang out with nobody like that. I wouldn't call anybody like that my homeboy. A man provides for a woman, or if you don't want to provide for her, at least provide for yourself. Providing for yourself, if you gotta, hit a few licks, rob some stuff, sling some dope, whatever you do, you're doing that. But, you know, it's like stories I know of vatos that have no hustle, and I don't want to put this guy in that category because he seems like he's a respectful dude. It's a different culture. But out here, dudes that had no hustle, and what they would do is they would get a woman strung out on heroin and then get them to sell their pussy and then take the money so they can get high together. But that's his hustle. Like, those are the type of things I don't like. But there you have it. That's Easy, who was addicted to the streets. I'm sure, hopefully, this story gets better towards the end. He's out here on the streets. He's out in California, so he must be doing somewhat better. He didn't say whether or not he was on Skid Row, and Mark didn't ask him. Hopefully, he's not, but if he is, he's doing his thing. He's still out here, like I said. So, excuse me. With that, everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.